So I will share that information as well. And we are going to talk today about holiday budgeting. And this is a little guide we created last year when the holidays were coming up to prepare folks to get ready for smart spending during this crazy season of finding gifts for everyone you know. And so I hope you find these tips helpful. I also would encourage you, if you have a pen and paper, to go grab that. And while we're going through the guide, feel free to create your own budget guide. So we'll get more into the meat of it, and there will be steps you can take right here today during this presentation to get your budget in order early, right? Huge. And be extra prepared for this holiday season. Just a few things before we get started about AARP ElderWatch. AARP ElderWatch is a 19-year partnership with the Colorado Attorney General's Office. We're going to go on 20 years in January. It's very exciting. We do education and outreach across Colorado about fraud prevention and financial literacy. We have a volunteer staffed fraud victim support helpline. So if you or someone you know is a victim of a fraud or scam, or they just need assistance with knowing if something's legitimate or have a question about finances, feel free to give us a call. That number is 800-222-4444, option number 2. And then we also offer peer-to-peer financial counseling on accessing local benefits, understanding and fixing any issues with credit reports, and also finances after the loss of a loved one. So if you or someone you know needs any assistance with any of that, also feel free to call us at that 800 number. And as I mentioned, this presentation will be on YouTube. You can go to AARP Colorado's YouTube channel and find it there. Feel free to share it with your friends and family. Please, I see everyone's muted. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, feel free to throw those in the chat and I'll answer them throughout or at the end. So let's get into it. And the first part about holiday budgeting is probably the most important part, and it's being realistic. We have to consider, first of all, where's the money for gifts coming from? Do you have a special savings account just for the holiday season? That is the thing some people do, and it does seem to work for them. If you want to use this method, it's not too late. There is quite a bit of time before that the holidays actually happen. So you can set up a savings account specifically for the holidays right now and add money to it over time. And by the time December rolls around, you'll be ready to be able to spend that saved money. Do you have a bonus coming in from your job that can be used around the holiday season? Is that a realistic way to spend that bonus on gifts? Do you have extra money in savings to spend? Is that something where you can tap in to do this gift giving? Or lastly, are you planning on saving some of your income for December for gifts? And if you have a pen and paper out and want to just write down where you believe this money will be coming from, that is going to be a great way to start your holiday budgeting plan. And then calculate how much money you'll have to spend total on gifts. So let's say, you have to get gifts for 30 people. Calculate how much money 30 gifts are going to cost. And then set a realistic spending limit based on the amount calculated that won't break your bank. $100 might not be realistic for getting 30 gifts, right? Or $100 per person, I'm sorry. But taking these steps into account first and having it written down is going to be super helpful when doing the next steps, and also just when you're out there ready to spend that money. So first off, list your expenses. Now that you know how much money you have to spend and where that money is coming from, and you've set that goal, it's time to list everything you're going to be spending on. So I think a lot of times people don't take into consideration the extra expenses that come with the holidays. It isn't just gifts. It's gifts and wrapping paper and trimming and, oh, we need a greeting card now. And got invited to 3 holiday parties, have to show up with a food or a bottle of wine or something. And it's the holidays, so we have to dress fancy and need new clothing. And we're also traveling. All of those expenses should be taken into consideration as well. This isn't just about gifts, it's about all of the money you will have to spend for the holiday season to be what you want it to be. One thing also to include are holiday activities. Let's say you're going ice skating, that's super fun, or going to one of those Christmas tree celebrations when they put on the lights. Maybe it costs a little money. Make sure to have a little bit set aside also to take part in those holiday activities that will be popping up all over the place really, really soon. Luckily, a lot of them are free, especially if you're in Denver. There's a ton of things you can do to celebrate the holidays that are low cost or completely free. But some activities are a bit more expensive. If you're an older adult, though, there may be discounts on those activities as well. And always, always, always take advantage of any discount you're able to get for age or whatever the qualification may be. And be sure also to include giving. This is the season where, Giving Day is coming up shortly around Thanksgiving. And this is the season where basically every organization says, please give, right? So make sure to include that also in your budget, because that could be a large chunk of change. And if it's not included, that can just be a detriment to the rest of the spending that you want to do. So again, if you had that pen and paper out and just off the top of your head, you can write down a list of almost everything you're likely to buy, right? Just jot it down and then go back and add to it later. That's going to be helpful. Again, so this list is a little bit different because we want to make sure that your priorities are ranked and in the order that you think is most important for your holiday to be a success. So you're going to want to write down the list of everything you're likely to buy, and then you're going to want to take that list and rank everything. I really, 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 really like decorating for the holidays, right? Love having a huge Christmas tree, love having beautiful, beautiful ornaments. I like making some of the ornaments. Going to, I like going to, the art bar and being able to paint my own. So that's something I am going to rank at the top of my list for the priorities of spending, decorations. And then after that, I'm going to put cards and postage, because my friends and I don't necessarily do gift exchanges, but we do send cards. So that's something that I am going to rank pretty high at the top. And then third, for me at least, is food and drink. I'm planning on throwing a party, so that's going to be a big chunk of the budget. And lastly, on my ranking is going to be travel expenses, because I have to go to Wisconsin, where it's going to be freezing, freezing cold and probably feet of snow for the holidays. So, write your list down and then be sure to rank those expenses. You really do want to make it so your top spending priority is at the top and you have enough money to allocate towards whatever that few top priorities are. And now that you've ranked those priorities, it's time to figure out exactly how much to spend on each item on your list. So again, going back to that first point of being realistic, if you have 30 people on your gift list, spending $100 might not be reasonable for each person. But if you have 30 people on your gift list, maybe $5 per person is going to do the job, right? Be sure to do your research. Prices and price information is everywhere online. So if you have items specifically that you're thinking of getting for family members, look everywhere online to find that cheapest price for that item. That is going to help, cut costs where costs can be cut. And it is also going to help you get a total picture of your spending. Also, be sure to ask what stores are willing to do price matches for you. So I know that some stores used to do this and have stopped, but there are still quite a few that will. Let's say you walk into Best Buy and you want a Nintendo Switch, right? That was like the big thing last holiday season. Everyone wanted a Nintendo Switch. And the Nintendo Switch is listed on Amazon as $100 less than in Best Buy. Best Buy might price match for you. They might give you that Nintendo Switch for $100 less if you say, hey, Amazon has this listed on their website for $100 less. What can you do for me? Asking those questions in the stores that you're in, that's going to help save money as well. I know that people love online shopping, and online shopping has just become easy in this pandemic world. So if you are going to be online shopping, there are a variety of different websites that offer coupon codes. There's actually a plugin, an extension for Google Chrome, and I believe a few other browsers called Honey, and it generates coupon codes that have worked on that website when you're at checkout. So it will automatically scan all of the codes online to find the best one that works at that store. Sometimes you have the best price already, and they're not able to take off anything else. But I've had great success with getting free shipping on stuff, or 10% off on this, or other discounts that are automatically generated through just pressing the button on the side. And if you have questions about how to download an extension or anything like that, feel free to throw those in the chat. I'm happy to help. Looking back at how much you spent last year on the holidays also can help you know how much you'll need to spend this year. The one caveat for that is inflation is a thing that has been hurting us a little bit, especially in the past few months. And this is going to be one of the most expensive holiday seasons, especially with Thanksgiving. Food prices have gone up, and I read an article in the New York Times, and they were like, this is going to be the most expensive Thanksgiving in history. So keeping that in mind, right, the rise in prices, even slightly, it all adds up after a little while. So just be sure that if you're looking at last year's number, take into account that you might need a little more this year to fully cover those costs, just because prices have gone up overall. Once you've added up how much everything costs, you're going to want to go back to that spending limit you set at the very beginning and calculate the difference. So let's say you've calculated $1,000 to spend total, right? But your limit is $750. Gonna want to subtract 1,000 from 750 and then tweak the numbers till you're down to that $750 budget, or whatever your budget might be. And start with the things lowest on your priority list, and cut just small amounts of spending, and that should help you reach your limit. But if that isn't working, you might want to just start cutting the lowest priorities on your list, and that will help you get to that goal as well. Also, coupon hunt. I know I talked about online coupons, but coupons still exist in the newspaper. I get like this newsletter of just a ton of coupons that are local, like every week in the mail, and that there's sometimes pretty good stuff in there. I'm usually pretty surprised when I go through and I'm like, oh, okay, I can get 20% off at Nordstrom Rack, cool. So be sure to just coupon hunt as much as you can as well, online and with paper. Shop smart. This is maybe the most important part of this presentation, because honestly, the budget doesn't matter if your money's going to a scammer, because you're not going to get those items. So check the internet and newspapers again to see what you can find for gifts for food and clothing, for couponing purposes, and then think about waiting a few weeks to buy items that may be in high demand, such as new electronics or toys. Right? I was talking about the Nintendo Switch earlier. Last holiday season, it was like most of my holiday budgeting conversations were around the Nintendo Switch. And one of the things that I recommended to folks was just wait a little bit. Oops, sorry, it said my screen sharing paused. Can everyone still see? Okay, I'll take that.
Yes.
Thank you. So, the Nintendo Switch came out and it was super duper expensive, but then within a few weeks, the price had been cut dramatically, but then there were supply chain issues where, everyone snatched them up right away. So just think about things that might be in high demand, those high ticket items that are super coveted. Maybe just wait a little bit and see if that price goes down. Maybe one of the most important things for online shopping, always check the link to make sure it's secure before entering any credit card information. And the way you're going to check the link to make sure it's secure is there's two things. One, a little lock should show up on your browser in the URL bar. And so if the lock appears, that means it is secure. The other thing is https:// that also is a secure URL. So make sure those things are there when you are getting ready to enter any personal information, but especially credit or debit card information. The one other thing I want to add here is that if you are making online purchases and you're not 100% sure of the legitimacy of the company you're buying from, use a credit card. And if you are on PayPal or Venmo or any of the peer-to-peer money transfer apps, make sure that you're sending money as for a gift and service and not to a friend or family member. If you send money for a gift or service on the peer-to-peer money transfer apps, that adds additional protections if it is a scam purchase. So if you send money using on PayPal, at least using the friends and family, you will not be able to recover those funds. But if you send it gifts and services, PayPal does have protections in place for those funds to be recovered, because sellers actually have to pay a bit of money to sell their products on PayPal or be a seller on PayPal, and that's where that protection comes in. Do not, please, 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 please do not pay for goods or services with gift cards. Please, 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 please. Gift cards are gifts. They should only be used for gifts. If someone's asking you for a gift card as a way to pay for something, big red flag that it is a scam. Also, if they're asking for a gift card for a service or claiming to be a charity that takes gift cards, that's a scam too. Gift cards only should go to your niece or nephew or a close friend and not random people. The peer-to-peer money transfer apps, again, just be careful if you are going to buy things and someone's asking you to pay that way. It is common for independent businesses or local really small businesses to use apps like PayPal and Venmo, but they should again have those seller protections in place so that you are not a victim of a scam. If someone's asking you for cash online, they're like, put cash in the mail. Nope. Check, same thing. It's 2021. There are many ways to pay securely that aren't sending check or cash in the mail. Of course, if it's one of those 1-800 shopping on TV or online, and they ask for various payments for shipping and handling, whatever, and they want to check, that's a little different. Just double check that that company is legitimate before sending any money their way. track your spending. Yes, you may have all of the things written down on the piece of paper in front of you, but just because you have a budget, it does not mean the work is over, because you do want to stay within that spending limit. You don't want to spend more that could create issues in the future. And so be sure to track those expenses. And there's tons of ways you can do this, right? You could save every single receipt. You could open a new bank account just for holiday shopping with the amount you're spending in it. And then there's also a ton of mobile apps out there that will track your spending. Your bank actually might have a built-in service that can budget for you, so be sure to look into that as well. Personally, I am kind of old-fashioned in the way that I don't save all my receipts, but I do use an Excel document to track everything. So I just have this huge Excel document. It has a spending limit at the bottom. And then as I spend, I put in the various boxes, how much I'm spending for what, and then it calculates the total at the bottom. So it's kind of old-fashioned because I don't, use an app or anything like that, but it works really well for me to be able to see that spending total dwindle as I enter different items in. Flipping up on tracking just may cause you to spend more. So be as vigilant as possible when you're trying to keep track of all of these expenses. And I know it can be difficult. Sometimes you just lose that receipt or pay cash for something and forget about it and it doesn't show up on your bank account. But as much as you can put down how much you're spending for things, that is going to really help on staying on track with your holiday budget. At the end of the holiday season, take a look at how well you did in sticking to your budget. Because if you didn't quite meet your goals, write down exactly what went wrong or what you think went wrong. And then next year, you can look at this and say, okay, I know what I need to do to make sure that I meet my holiday budget goals. I'm going to open up a bank account just for the holiday season and start putting money in it in August. Or I am going to track my spending better. All of those things, this evaluation after the fact is going to be helpful when you're looking, when you're sitting down the next year to do your budget. So this, I do highly recommend that, even though it can be really difficult to look back on the holiday season after it's over, especially the money parts of it. Also think about alternative savings options that you can implement for the next year, or ways to cut back that maybe didn't work this year. Maybe you have a lot of priorities for spending and they all kind of ranked in the same place. But maybe next year there's a way to take, have a few less priorities, right? Maybe this year's just super busy with traveling and traveling expenses took up most of your budget. But maybe next year everyone's coming to you. So figure out the ways that you can meet your goal, even if you don't meet it this year. But I'm hoping with all of these tips, you'll be able to just knock it out of the park and spend just exactly how much you want to on the holidays. So I know we talked a little bit about scams, but we're going to talk a little bit more about scams because I want your money to stay in your pocket and go to the people that you want those gifts to go to. So check the identity of the seller. A quick Google search will do this. For example, my mom has a baking business, and so if you Google her name and the business, it'll come up right away that it's a legitimate business. Here's the website, here's the ranking on the Better Business Bureau, here are the Yelp reviews. And then people know that they're able to trust that business. So checking on the identity of the seller is going to be important, especially, if someone's approaching you on Instagram or Facebook or another social media site and trying to sell you something, or you're trying to buy something in Facebook Marketplace, do a reverse image search of that person's photo and see if that photo repeatedly comes up under different names. That's going to be another red flag that maybe that seller is not legitimate. Read reviews on both stores and products on trusted websites like the Better Business Bureau. Google also has an amazing reviews column, right? People can just add reviews as they go to the place and put how many stars they think the product or store should get, and write, how their experience was. Another great tip is to just go on Amazon and see how folks are rating various products. We actually have an entire presentation on how to use consumer review sites listed on our YouTube page, done by my colleague Mark. So check that out if you have more questions about it. It's really, really great. The only information you should be asked for when making a purchase is your credit card number, address, name, and maybe a phone number. But that's really it. If they're asking for more information than that, especially if they're asking about, I don't know, Medicare number, Social Security number, red flag of a scam, cut off communication with that person and find someone who's legitimately able to sell you those products. Pay only using a credit or debit card, although credit is going to be preferred because it does have enhanced protections. So if you are especially shopping online and not quite sure whether something's legitimate, use that credit card, because the credit card company is more likely than the bank to refund that money, and they're going to do it faster because they just have a faster process of filing those claims and resolving them. A few alternative gift ideas. Not everyone likes something brand new from the store. Making gifts yourself for your friends and family can be super duper cute and really, really lovely to receive. I love a homemade gift. My friends last year made candles. One of my friends just made candles for all of her friends, and it was fairly easy, very cheap, and we all just loved them. Give the gift of food. Everyone loves food. Bake cookies. Give your family member a meal coupon book. They can use to cash in on their favorite goodies. Or just host a lovely dinner party and say, hey, no gifts. Any of those things also go. Donating money into a cause in honor of a friend or family can also be a great way to cut down on gift costs, because you are still giving a gift of some sort, but you might not need to spend $500 on an electronic device. Instead, you can donate $50 to an organization that means a lot to that person, and it might even have more of an impact, right? And the last thing is, check those thrift stores. Now is the time. They put all of the good stuff out right around Halloween, and they keep it out till right after the holiday season. So hit up those thrift stores. AARP, if you're in Denver, has great stuff. Of course, Goodwill, Salvation Army, all of those places. Thrift around, find some trinkets that can be used as gifts, and give those to your friends and family members as well. So a few resources for you before we go. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is at consumerfinance.gov, and they have a bunch of different resources on budgeting if you'd like to check those out. The Federal Trade Commission has information on frauds and scams and consumer protection, and that's consumer.ftc.gov. AARP has a whole section just about money. So if you are looking for more budgeting tips, if you're looking for information about retirement savings, pretty much anything under the sun, go to the AARP money page, aarp.org/money. Also, feel free to give us a call or check out our website, aarp-elderwatch.org. And again, our number is 800-222-4444, option number 2. And then if you or someone you know needs assistance with maintenance around the house, feel free, before the holiday season, or few things need to be fixed up, feel free to give Brothers Redevelopment a shout. They do various services for older adults across Colorado, so that might be a good place to go. I see there's a chat, so I'm going to stop sharing, and if you have questions, feel free to put those into the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. How is the chip shortage going to impact holiday shopping? Okay, I just want to make sure I have the right chips. We're not talking like potato chips, we're talking like computer chips, right? I'm going to go with yes. Prices may be higher on a few things, electronics specifically. You just might see higher prices, but you also might see a shortage of things that you might want to get for friends or family. The supply chain has a ton of issues because of COVID, and these are going to impact the holiday season. Yes, computer chips. Great, glad I'm talking about the right chip. So if you are looking for an electronic and it says out of stock, maybe try to find a different gift, honestly. It might be a better bet than waiting, because we really have no idea what the shortages are going to be, what other items might be impacted. That is a great question. It really can be anything. So around my house, the few things we've been looking for lately, Gatorade, there's absolutely none. Toilet paper at Costco, none of it at all. I'm like, are we back in March 2020? No toilet paper. And then oddly enough, plastic bowls. We cannot find disposable bowls anywhere. So it's just kind of a variety of items, but there may be, and it depends really on where you shop. There might also be shortages in food, or the food items that you are looking for just aren't on the shelves. So you might need to take extra time just to do that holiday shopping and figure out what's there. If it's not in the place that I originally looked, is it somewhere else? And then if it's not there, coming up with an alternative to whatever that gift or food item or whatever you're going to bring may be. Another thing I want to mention is mail. There's also shortage of delivery drivers and postal workers and all of that. So if you are shipping something for the holiday season, if you're sending something in the mail for the holiday season, and you want it to get there on time, send it extra early, throw in a note, maybe, don't open this till December 24th. Don't open this till the new year. So, there are instructions as to how you want that gift to be opened, but send it early because it might not get there when you want it. It might get there late. Does anyone else have any questions for today? Okay. Well, I thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn about holiday budgeting. I hope that these are useful tips for your holiday spending. And if you want to review this presentation or share it with friends or family, I mentioned a few times, it is on the YouTube channel. Excuse me. And if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, you can save that link, and you should be able to open the PowerPoint and view all of that content in your browser. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a happy holiday.